You're listening to Conversation Kingz with Dominic Emerson, only on LA Talk Radio.
Welcome to the Conversation Kingz. I am your host, Dominic Emerson, here on LA Talk Radio. And today, I want to give a big shout out to LA Jordan High School for their championship win with Coach Derek Benton and his staff and the students over there at LA Jordan High School in Watts, California. Congratulations on your Division III city championship win. My hat's off to you all, and continued success. And today here on LA Talk Radio with your host Dominic Emerson on the Conversation Kingz, I'll be talking about emotional intelligence, right? Because we all have to have some type of emotional intelligence in our life throughout our days, right, as we continue to go forward, right? And I just learned something the other day about emotional intelligence, so I'm gonna take that and talk about that with you all as well, right? But today shows emotional intelligence, which emotions play a big part in our life and our society and everything that we do and how we feel and how we go about our day and everything like that, right? And emotions can go up or down, and what triggers our emotions, right? So today I just want to give you some insights, some great understanding and knowledge of how to maximize your emotional intelligence to master your thoughts, right? And that's what it's basically about, just mastering our thoughts and understanding, what controls us, what sets us off, what pushes us to the next level out of our comfort zone and everything like that, right? To get to the point of a true understanding of who we are as self-mastery, as meditation, understanding ourselves individually and collectively within our society, right? So Leonardo da Vinci says this, right? You will never have a greater or lesser dominion than that over yourself. The height of a man's success is gauged by his self-mastery, the depth of his failure by his self-abandonment. And this law is the expression of eternal justice. He who cannot establish dominion over himself will have no dominion over others, right? And that's a big part of emotional intelligence, right? That's a big part of emotional intelligence. How do I conduct myself within myself to the outer world? And how does my emotions play a bigger part on me being successful in life, right? So today I just want to go over and talk to you about these things, right? And as always, like, follow, subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram at LA Talk Radio, where you can find great content like this, right? So according to Wikipedia, emotional intelligence is the capability of individuals to recognize their own emotions and those of others, discern between different feelings and label them appropriately, use emotional information to guide thinking and behavior, and manage and or adjust emotions to adapt to environments or one's goals, right? So how does your emotions help you to adapt to certain environments or to reach certain goals or to connect with other people, right? Because emotions can have us disconnected from individuals. Emotions can even have us disconnected from our individual selves, right? So we have to understand that according to Wikipedia, the capability of the individual to recognize their own emotions. How can I recognize my own emotions? How can I recognize if I'm intelligent enough emotionally to deal with certain situations, right? And understanding these emotions will help us to push us to a higher level of success, right? Because all of these things come into part if we're looking to be successful, right? Our self-mastery, our meditation, our purpose and our passion, right? And our emotional intelligence plays a major part in us moving forward with whatever goal we're trying to reach, right? And also, those with high levels of emotional intelligence also have control over their thoughts and emotions. The key thing is don't let your thoughts control you. You have to control your thoughts in every situation you're going in, right? And it's basically, you might have to take a step back, think about it, reassess what's going on, how to reattack whatever goal you're trying to set out for yourself. But how does your emotions go up or down when things go right for you or when things go good for you, but how does your emotions go up or down when things go bad for you, right? So we have to understand, how do we control our emotions, right? How do we control our thoughts and our acts, right? Because they both go hand in hand, right? You can't have one without the other. You can't have a knowledge of your emotional thoughts and not one of the emotional intelligence. On the other hand, you got to have them coincide with one another, right? They have to go together, right? So everything has to be in line, and everything has to be on the straight and narrow in order for you to reach that goal that you're looking to achieve, right? And this is all a part of our emotional intelligence and how to master our self mastery and our thoughts along the way, right? And these things are just going to help us, right? And they get along well with others, and they have mastery over themselves, right? My emotional intelligence has a mastery over itself if I understand it, right? So this is what I'm given: a true understanding of how emotional intelligence plays a part in your life, right? Plays a part in my life, right? Like, what pushes me, what pushes Dominic Emerson to the limit that he can't come back from, right? Or does my emotional intelligence come into play when I feel like I'm being pushed to that edge? Does it pull me back off the edge, or do I just jump, right? Do I have no self-control? I have no emotional control over what's bothering me or what's going on in that situation, right? I have to have control over myself and over my emotions in order to not deter me from the goal that I'm trying to get to, right? And there's a lot of things to consider when you're looking at your emotional intelligence, right? And I'm going to dive into it, and I'm going to, put out more information and everything. And you're definitely going to get this information to use later on down the line, right? I always say that it's good to have great knowledge in the back of your mind, which is basically your game bag, right? Because you can pull certain things from your mind and actually use it intellectually to help you prosper towards a goal or towards whatever area you're looking to go in to achieve success, right? So what having high emotional intelligence can do for you, right? What can it do for you? What is the benefit of having high emotional intelligence, right? There are numerous advantages you'll enjoy from increasing your emotional intelligence, right? You have to find out what helps you to increase it. And I always say you have to read, you have to open up books, you have to search for knowledge, right? You have to find these things in order to heighten your emotional intelligence, right? Because if you're at a low frequency, then your emotional intelligence is at a low frequency, right? But if I'm reading, if I'm searching, researching, if I'm gathering knowledge and information, understanding to go along with my wisdom, then of course that's going to help enhance my emotional intelligence and heighten me to a whole nother level, to where in certain situations, my emotional intelligence will kick in and I will not be bothered by whatever is going on around me, whatever distractions are going on around me, right? Because my emotional intelligence has taken over, right? And so my emotional intelligence is important to me for my success and the fulfillment of my success, the fulfillment of me reaching my goals, the fulfillment of me achieving something that I set out to achieve, even if it's just to achieve that goal for that day, right? My emotional intelligence has to come into play. And this is a part of the advantage you'll have with the true understanding of your emotional intelligence, right? There are 5 components of emotional intelligence, right? There are 5 components of emotional intelligence. And I'm going to share them with you today so that way you can have we can have a greater understanding of these components and how they help us, how they enhance us, and we can take this as an advantage in our lives so we can continue to move forward, right? Most experts agree there are 5 primary pieces to the emotional intelligence puzzle, right? There are 5 pieces, right, that we can use as an arsenal for us to be successful, right? So these 5 pieces to the puzzle for our emotional intelligence and how to master our thoughts and our emotions, right? And they play a big part in our daily lives, right? Play a big part in our daily lives, right? And how do we master our self-awareness, right? I'm going to talk to you about how to master your self-awareness, right? You're not nearly as self-aware as you think. Oftentimes, I think sometimes I know a little bit too much. And me thinking that, I actually don't know enough in that area, right? That's why I say we have to research. I try to do as much research as possible in order to have more knowledge and more information that I retain for my emotional intelligence in order for me to continue to build upon myself. But I don't think I'm more aware of the information that I have, but I don't try to overthink that I have more than the next person, if that makes sense, right? I don't think that I'm the smartest person in the room, in other words, right? Even if I have that information in my arsenal or in my mind and I know it and I've read it and I have it down packed, I still don't think that I'm the smartest person in the room, right? Because my emotional intelligence tell me that it's okay for me to be quiet and be self-aware of what's going on in that room, right? My grandmother used to always say this, right? She used to always say the loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room. And that's true. So my emotional intelligence kicks in and it tells me that I don't have to be loud. You know, I can share the knowledge or the self-awareness that I have of myself and of the things that are going on in the room quietly, right? I don't have to be loud and boisterous in order to get my point across, right? But we have to find out what makes us tick by learning how to pay attention, right? What makes us tick by learning how to pay attention, right? Oftentimes I tell my our children, be aware of your surroundings. Be aware of your surroundings. We have to pay attention to our surroundings, right? We have to pay attention to what's going on in the area or the vicinity that we're in, right? And that's an awareness, right? That's a self-awareness. I don't want to be around somewhere where the vibe is off or, you know, my emotions are telling me, get out of here, get out of here. But I'm not self-aware of what's going on around me, right? I'm not paying attention to what's going on around me. So anything can happen in that instance, right? But being emotionally intelligent and self-aware and understanding and having a self-awareness and self-mastery, if my emotions tell me, or my, you know, they oftentimes they said it was a gut feeling, right? But it's the emotions. If my emotions tell me, hey, look, it's time to leave, it's time for us to depart, then I definitely leave. I have no qualms of saying, all right, good night, y'all, I'm out of here. I'm not that type of person. I'll leave in an instance, right? But that's just being self-aware of what's going on around me and paying attention to what's going on around me, right? We have to have self-regulation, right? I have to be accountable for myself. You have to be accountable for yourself, right? So I have to have self-regulations, right? Like I'm on this thing right now where I'm trying to get into a health kick and everything. And it's not a resolution. It's something that I said that I just want to do and whatnot. But I have to have self-regulations on, you know, I like a good burger. You know, I like a good burrito. I like a good, but I have to be self-regulating myself for my health in order to understand who I am, right? If I can't regulate myself, then how can I regulate something else or somebody else in life, right? I have to have self-control. In other words, what emotional intelligence does is it helps you to understand self-regulations and self-control and self-awareness, right? But how much control do I have over my thoughts, right? That's self-regulation. Are my thoughts taking me to some place that I do not want to go or I need not go, right? That's having a great self-regulation and self-accountability with my emotional intelligence in order for me to progress and move forward, right? And I have to, along with those things, with mastering my self-awareness and understanding my emotional intelligence, I have to understand that self-regulation comes into play. And this helps me become a master of focus, right? I talked about focus before, and this will help you become a master of focus because now you're attentive to what's going on around. You're attentive to your surroundings, right? You're attentive to your things that are bringing up your emotions or making your emotions rise up, right? Because most people get angry because they let their emotions override what's going on, right? Oftentimes I tell my children, don't let your emotions help you make a decision that you'll regret later on down the line, right? So our emotions play a big part, right? But we have to become a master of our focus, right? I have to be locked in, dialed in order for me to be a master of my focus, right? I'm locked in and I'm dialed in with understanding and getting knowledge and getting wisdom and sharing this wisdom freely. You know, here on the Conversation Kings at LA Talk Radio, freely sharing this information. And once again, like, follow, subscribe on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And you'll get this great information with the Conversation Kings and others that are on this channel, right? On this talk radio show, right? Because that's what it's all about. It's about giving out information, but the information that is being shared has to be taken in, right? So I'm talking about emotional intelligence and taking in this understanding of the information that's given of being emotionally aware, self-awareness, right? Self-regulation, becoming a master of focus, right? And that ability to focus is an important skill, right? Because oftentimes, I can get distracted as well. It's easy for us to get distracted, especially in today's society where we have so much going on and so much around us. It's like they say, living in a city is fast paced. Living down south is a slower pace. But that's not actually true, right? It just depends on the individual and having the ability to focus on what the task is that is at hand, right? So I have to zero in, I have to lock in, and I have to understand that this is an important skill if I plan to have self-mastery and understand my emotional intelligence in my life. I have to understand that focus is very important in order for me to reach success and to reach a goal that I'm trying to reach in life, right? And if I get distracted easily, then I'll never get to the goal that I set out before me, right? Because now I'm over here, I got 10 things going over here. I got 10 things going on over here, and none of them are getting finished, or none of them are getting where I'm achieving the goal in any area because I'm not focused. I'm not locked in. I'm not set out to do just what I'm desiring to do in this certain area. So we have to become a master of focus and understand that this ability is really important. It is an important skill for us to have in order to continue to move forward and build upon what we're building for our success ladder, right? Because we're building brick by brick, right? And we understand that self-mastery is a part of it, right? Meditation is a part of it, right? Finding out what's our passion and our purpose is a part of it, right? And emotional intelligence is a part of it, right? And with all these things locked in and coming together, these are the skills that help us to overcome any obstacle that we face while we're trying to be successful and trying to reach goals, right? So don't get it twisted. Don't get it wrong that sometimes you're not going to be able to focus, right? You're going to struggle. I struggle. We all struggle in trying to focus. But the most successful people have a highly developed ability to focus their attention for an extended period of time, right? Like a lot of times, sometimes, and I'm saying this for social media, right? We get locked in on social media for hours. And our focus is on social media for hours. So if I can focus on social media, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn for hours, I could be constructive in something else for hours. If I put my focus and attention towards that, if that is going to help me to be successful and help me reach to the next level that I'm trying to get to, right? As a part of my self-building and self-mastery, right? And I have to understand that a part of it becomes, I have to entail some kind of motivation, right? Who is my mentor? Who am I watching? What is my motivation? What is the fire that's pushing me to be the best that I can be, to understand my emotional intelligence, to have the self-mastery that I desire, to understand and find my passion and purpose along this walk as I'm on this rock, right? So we have to figure all these things out. But what is our motivation, right? What makes us go? What pushes you to go? What is your motivation? Is it a motivation to say that, look, I'm tired of being in a situation that I'm in and I want to go to the next level? Is it because you desire more than you have now? Is basically what I'm saying. Is that motivation helping you to understand your emotional intelligence, right? Is there any kind of motivation push from friends, family, acquaintances that is helping you to get to where you need to go, right? Because that's what it's all about. Are you motivated intrinsically or extrinsically, right? Are there things that are outside pushing you that are motivating, things that you see? Because in society, we are a visual people, right? we're people who see things and say, oh, you know what? I like that Benz. I like that Bentley. I like that Rolls Royce. Is that your part of your motivation, right? Is that what pushes you to be the best you that you can be, right? Extrinsically, these things are perfect because they're outside and you can see them, right? But intrinsically, what on the inside is telling you that you have to go? What on the inside makes you get up every morning that pushes you and propels you to be the best that you can be, right? See, I tell people that I really don't need an alarm clock to wake up, right? What motivates me to get up every day is that I want to get up and I want to rise and I want to grind and I want to be the best that I can be and achieve the things that I didn't achieve yesterday, right? I want to be better today than I was yesterday, right? That is what motivates me. What motivates me is the love of my family. What motivates me is the people who encourages me, right? What motivates me are the things that they don't have to be big in awards or rewards, but someone just saying, great job, good job. You know, it motivates me to say, okay, I did good in this area. I could do better in this one over here, right? What is your motivation that pushes you to keep going, right? And why does it matter? It matters because it's about you. That's why it matters. Why does it matter? It matters because it's about you. It's about the individual. It's about you becoming more than you think you are right now. That's why it matters, right? You learning and understanding more than what you have right now, right? Because we all can learn a whole lot more from everyone, right? We all can take in knowledge from someone else, right? Like I have mentors that mentor me, right? And I have people who share with me knowledge and understanding, right? Like I have several that I deal with right now. Big shout out to Christopher Carlisle, one of my big brothers, you know. He gives me information, gives me books to read, gives me different things. And he always questioning me, always asking me these things, right? And that is a part of my motivation because when I see him or when I talk to him, I want to be prepared, right? I want to be ready with a ready answer because that motivates me to be better than I was yesterday, right? And we talk about different things that we do in life, but having people in your corner that are going to help motivate you, that are going to help push you out of your comfort zone is awesome. It's a great thing to have, right? And that helps you with your self-mastery. That helps you with your emotional intelligence. That helps you dig in and find your passion and your purpose for your call in life, right? And that's a big thing, right? You'll discover the differences and the relevance, right? You'll discover great things in learning yourself and understanding yourself and finding yourself along this road as you travel and understand what level of emotional intelligence I am at this time, right? See, we should have all of these things in play, right? We should every night call ourselves to an account. Like I said, I should hold myself accountable, right? I have friends that hold me accountable, you know, close friends that hold me accountable in certain areas. But I should hold myself accountable in regards to building myself up, right? As you should as well. Hold yourself accountable in building yourself up, right? Hold yourself accountable as far as did you achieve the goal that you set out to achieve, right? Did you write that book that you said you wanted to write, right? Did you apply for that job that you said you wanted to apply for, right? All of these things come into play when we're building, right? Because it's brick by brick, right? It's brick by brick. And we're just rough stones that are trying to smooth out ourselves so that we fit with each other in a perfect stone, right? So all of these things come into play, right? What infirmity have I mastered today, right? What passions oppose, right? What temptations did I resist, right? What virtue was required in order for me to get there, right? See, our vices will abort of themselves if they be brought every day to the shift, right? So if I bring up everything that's holding me back and holding me down, and I know that they're there because we all have a weakness, we all have something that we're struggling with. But if I acknowledge them, then eventually I'll start knocking them down, right? I'll start knocking them down like pinballs. I'll start knocking them down like a row of dominoes, right? But I have to acknowledge that these are my weak points. And in order for me to become strong in that area, I have to acknowledge that weak point. I have to acknowledge that this area of my life is not where I want it to be, right? So it all plays into part, like what high emotional intelligence can do for us. That's basically it. What high emotional intelligence can do for us, right? See, we might think that emotional intelligence is fine for those in the arts and humanities, but emotional intelligence is necessary for success in all fields, right? In the area that I work in, I have to be emotionally intelligent, right? I can't fly off the hinges if someone asks me a question about mechanical engineering, right? Or how does this control work? Or how does this pump work? Or how does this chiller work? Or anything like that of the nature of the field that I'm in, right? I can't fly off the hinges because obviously this person does not know, right? So I have to give it to them in layman terms, right? Even though I might be a learned or skilled person in that area, understanding my emotional intelligence helps me to answer the question that was asked, right? See, and emotional intelligence, it provides so many benefits in our lives, dealing with people, dealing with ourselves, dealing with, whatever is going on around us. Emotional intelligence helps us in areas that we don't think or we think should be there. Emotional intelligence helps us to know what to look out for in life, in our life, as we're going along this journey, right? So what emotional intelligence will do for us, it increases our social effectiveness, right? It increases our social effectiveness, right? Because I know how to deal with people in society, right? I know how to talk to a certain crowd in society, because emotionally intelligent, it'll tell me what the conversation is all about, right? And that's why I say read a lot, because if you're an effective reader and you're applying what you're reading, you can hold a conversation basically with everybody and anybody, because you're on the level with all people, right? So I try to read as much as I can, dig into certain information, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, just so I could be equivalently understanding when we're having an emotional intelligent conversation, that I don't fly off the hinges about what this person believes in or that person believes in. It allows me to hold everything in and listen to what that person is saying, take in what that person is saying, and not get upset because of what that person is saying, and give an emotional, intelligent answer back to that person, even if they're right or they're wrong. But like my grandmother used to say, you can get more flies with honey than you can, more bees with honey than you can flies with ish, right? So I have to understand my emotional intelligence, and then it increases my social effectiveness, right? When you understand your emotions and the emotions of others, you can connect and communicate more effectively. It can be a great advantage in personal relationships, right? In society, in today's society, that's what we want. We want personal relationships, right? We want friendships that last a long time, right? We want connections that last a long time, right? We want that communication to be open. And if I understand who I am emotionally, then it allows me to be more open in certain areas and build relationships in life, right? And it could be a great advantage if I want to hold a personal relationship with somebody. I got to know how to deal with their emotions and deal with my emotions along the way, right? Because if I understand emotional intelligence, then I understand that person, if this comes out, that person is emotionally weak, right? But I can't bring it up because I'm trying to build a personal relationship with this person. So I have to be emotionally intelligent and sound, right? Like somebody told me the other day, they said, Don, we could always tell you a secret. I said, you can, because I'm not going to tell anybody else. Honestly, I'm not going to tell anybody else. If you ask me or you tell me something, I'm so within me, emotionally intelligent, that you're telling me this for a reason right now. I don't go about talking about people's stuff, but as far as like certain information that someone does not want to share with anybody else until it's time for them to share it, and they share it with me first, I can hold that information. I can hold that information because I'm intelligent enough to understand that if I break that relationship, it's going to sever our communication, our connection, and then that person may not be able to maintain themselves emotionally and might do something to themselves, right? So I understand that that's a big part of my connection and a part of who I am, right? Like we have to understand our weaknesses and our strengths. And I understand for me, myself, that is a strength because I understand my emotional intelligence, right? And it's a great advantage that I have when I'm building a personal relationship, right? And I often tell people, if you tell me something that you don't want nobody else to know, I'm taking it to the grave. That's basically it, right? It won't come out until you say something, because I understand where you are emotionally, right? I understand where I am emotionally, and we can build off of this, and that brings us closer in our personal relationship, right? It enhances our ability to lead others, right? See, for a great leader, somebody that's going to be a great leader, they have to know how to deal with their emotions, right? They can't fly off the hinges at the drop of a dime, right? We can't have a president at the drop of a dime. He gets upset and he pushes the button and just sends bombs everywhere, right? That means he's emotionally unstable. We have to be stable as leaders emotionally if we're going to help others succeed, help others build upon whatever they're building on, help others as a mentor, help others in motivation, help others build them up to new levels, right? We have to have these things in our arsenal if we're going to have great leadership, right? If we're going to have great leadership, we have to have this true understanding of emotional intelligence, because a great leader understands the emotions of everyone that's around them, right? And how to deal with everyone around them and how to communicate with everyone around them, right? See, when you understand motivation, emotional state management, and can emphasize with others, you become more effective leader, right? You'll become a more effective leader if you understand all of these things. And it's just that simple, right? It's something that we all have to learn. And it's something that, once we learn it, we have to share it with others so that way they can build upon themselves in this area, right? Emotionally, right? And that's what it's all about, right? This is the Conversation Kings. I'm your host, Dominic Emerson, here on LA Talk Radio. And as always, like, follow, subscribe on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Instagram, right? And today I'm talking about emotional intelligence, right? It's something that we all have to have. It's something that we all deal with. It's something that we all go through, right? We all have emotions, right? Our emotions go up and down. It's like hills and valleys. But how do we deal with the hills and how do we deal with the valleys, right? It is a part of being a human, right? Emotions are a part of being a human, right? But if we understand intellectually how they come into play in our life, then we're better off in how we deal with them and how we reach other people, right? See, emotions, it boosts the likelihood of success. Emotional intelligence can boost the likelihood of success, right? When you can control your thoughts, emotions, and behavior, you can do anything, right? If I can control all of these things mentally, physically, right? And my emotions, if I can control these things, then I can do whatever I want to do, whatever I choose to do in the area of being successful in that field, right? But I have to get these three things in order first, right? And if I don't have them in order within myself, then I'll never be successful. I'll never be a great leader that I plan to be, right? And I'm talking for those who are trying to be the CEO of companies and everything like that. You'll never have these things if you don't control your thoughts, your emotions, and your behaviors, right? When my thoughts start to get go left, as they say, when my thoughts start to go left, am I emotionally intelligent enough to bring them in, right? If my emotions start to boil over, am I emotionally intelligent enough to simmer them down, right? When my behaviors, I start to act out of character, am I emotionally intelligent enough to bring that back in, right? Because if I don't, it can harm me in certain ways that I may not know of, right? By the display of all of these things, doors might be open because I can control my emotions, my thoughts, and my behaviors. But if I can't control them, then certain doors that I want to be open will be closed because of the way I act, my character, right? These are things that are the likelihoods of our success, right? And if I can't control any of these, then how can I say I'm going to be successful, right? So we have to take into thought that these are some of the three big keys that you're going to need in order to be successful, right? In order for you to do anything that you set out to do, you're going to have to get these in order. And you just might want to put these down on your goal list to control your thoughts, learn to control your emotions, and learn to control your behaviors in order for you to be successful and to do anything that you set out and desire to do, right? It reduces bad habits and self-destructive behaviors, right? It reduces bad habits and self-destructive behaviors. Sometimes we can be our own worst enemy, right? It doesn't have to be anybody else. It could be the inner me that's my enemy, right? Did I say that correctly? It could be my inner me that could be my enemy, right? It doesn't have to take anybody else to affect me more than I can, right? And I have to understand my emotional intelligence plays a big part in me being destructive to me and to what I'm trying to build, right? And that goes for you as well. It could be a big part. We can create and cause our greatest destructions for ourselves, right? Like oftentimes I hear this, people saying this, God doesn't put more on us than we can bear. He definitely doesn't. We put more on us than we can bear. Then we say that, you know, how can I deal with this when it wasn't actually God who put it on us? It was us that put that extra on us and became destructive. Now we want to say, God, can you help me get through this, right? When he did not put that on us, we self-inflicted that upon ourselves, right? So if I reduce bad habits and self-destructive behaviors, then I won't put those things on me, and whatever I ask God to open, he's going to open, because he doesn't put more on me than I can bear. He know what I can handle. So if that's what I can handle, then that's what he's going to give me to handle. But I can't be afflicting myself with the pains and anguish of life, because I'm constantly putting this on myself. I'm constantly putting these bad habits on myself and these self-destructive behaviors upon myself, right? So we have to be aware of that if we're going to be emotionally intelligent today in life, right? In today's society. And my self-destructive behavior, which I've come back from, like I said, I'm on a health thing right now, and I'm trying to maintain and figure out how to get through these things. I see all these things on social media about, you know, your health and everything, but like I say, you have to read and research and search for yourself what's best for you, right? And one of the biggest things on my self-destructive behavior could have been overeating, right? It could have been watching too much TV. It could have been, you know, a lot of these things, you know, because I do watch a lot of TVs, a lot of movies, right? I'm a movie buff as well, right? But my thing is that could be overindulgence to a certain degree, right? But my emotional intelligence tells me, look, back up off the TV every so often and read a book. You know, my overeating. No, you don't need that slice of cake right now, which it might be delicious, but you don't need that slice of cake right now. You know, fix you something else that's going to be more healthier for you, right? And I start to diminish the self-destructive behavior, and you'll see the change. You'll notice the change before anybody else notices the change, right? See, our emotional intelligence makes it easier to avoid these behaviors, right? But I have to be emotionally intelligent and emotionally stable in order for me to recognize these things that are in my life that are destructive to me and for me, right? Because if it's destructive to me, then all I'm going to do as a human being is go around and find people. If I'm living in a self-destructive behavior, I'm going to find people that are in that same mindset, that same emotional intelligence, where they only grew so much, and we're all in the same the common continuity of what we're thinking. Then of course I'm going to gravitate to them, because I'm not trying to change. I'm not trying to grow emotionally with my intelligence, and I don't have no control over my thoughts, my emotions, or my behaviors, right? And I'm self-destructing to myself. But I want to avoid these behaviors, so I start making changes, right? So we have to make changes in order to build and grow emotionally in certain areas of our life, right? For emotional intelligence and emotional development, for our self-mastery, understanding the passion of our purpose and our passion, our meditation. And these things take time. They do not come overnight, but they do take time. But we have to put in the time in order for them to grow and develop, right? It's like planting a rose, or planting a garden, right? Or planting a tree. It doesn't grow overnight, but it takes time. But during that process, we're constantly watering it, nurturing it, feeding it the right things in order for it to grow fully to what it should be, right? If it's a tree, we want the tree to grow up to be healthy as can be, right? So mentally, if I want to grow mentally to be the best that I can be, I'm going to take in things that are going to help develop and nourish my mindset in order for me to grow and be the best that I can be in understanding my emotional intelligence, right? So to develop mastery over ourselves, emotional intelligence, right? There's certain things that we can get into, right? Emotional intelligence provides a lot of advantages if we actually get into it, right? If we actually get into it, right? It's easy to pick out those things that are high in emotional intelligence. It's also easy to pick out those things or those people who are lacking in this important characteristic. Emotional intelligence might not be the most exciting thing to develop, but it might be the most important, right? It is the most important out of all, right? Because understanding emotional intelligence helps you to be a better person. It develops better characteristics. It develops better self-awareness, right? It develops you into understanding your environment, right? So we have to continue to develop and build upon this as emotional intelligent beings, right? Even if you don't want to, somewhere down the line, try to figure it out. Try to figure out, where am I lacking in emotional intelligence? Start doing that for yourself and see what you come up with, right? See what you come up with, right? Asagad Hatabo says this, right? Many of the confessions, conflicts, and disarrays that are rampant in today's organizations, communities, and nations could have been avoided if leaders have solid self-awareness, right? And if we're going to be the leaders of today and the leaders of tomorrow and the leaders of our homes and the leaders of our jobs and the leaders of the things that we are trying to do and try to be, we have to be more self-aware, more self-emotional intelligence about ourselves in order to be great leaders, right? In order to develop the things that we want out of life and to be successful in life, we have to be self-aware with ourselves, right? So we have to have self-awareness, right? Self-awareness is simply, this is the possibility, the most important component of emotional intelligence, right? Having self-awareness means that you have a clear and accurate opinion of yourself. Simple as that. We can't go you can go dig deeper and find more, but this is the greatest part of it, right? Self-awareness is having self-awareness means that you have a clear, accurate opinion of yourself. You are the biggest judge of yourself. You don't have to listen to outside. Like I tell people all the time, I don't need nobody to validate me because I hold myself accountable to me, right? And if I'm constantly checking myself of the self-awareness that I have to have, then I can give myself an accurate opinion of myself, of what I did do, what I didn't do, how I didn't do it, why I didn't do it the right way, right? And I have to have that understanding, but I have to have the emotional intelligence in order to accurately say these things to myself, in order to accurately have this opinion of myself, right? So it's definitely a part of emotional intelligence, right? So if you have a high level of self-awareness, you're able to notice your emotions and think about them rationally in the moment. If you're lacking self-awareness, your emotions take over. You're only able to recognize your emotional state afterwards, right? After I get angry and I get upset, man, I shouldn't have acted that way. I shouldn't have responded that way. I shouldn't have did this, that, or the third that way. But my emotions took over. See, I can't have those things if I'm supposed to be emotionally intelligent, right? I got to control these things, right? You're able to learn from your emotional experiences. You don't have to repeat the past. You know, you can keep going around in a circle. It's like a dog chasing its tail, right? Why are you constantly going in that circle, right? Is it fun to us? No, it's not. So we have to develop some mindset that says, look, I have to become emotionally intelligent and stop chasing my tail in a circle in order for me to be a better person, for me to be successful in the field that I'm trying to go in order for me to change the mindset that I'm in right now, I have to stop chasing my tail and stop looking at the past, right? Start looking towards your future and becoming emotionally intelligent, right? Self-regulation, right? It's great to be able to notice your emotions in the moment, but can you make a wise decision about how to proceed from that point? Are you able to redirect your emotions into a healthy, positive direction, right? And that's what you'll develop. That's what you'll develop. You'll develop a way that you can go because you understand that this isn't right. This isn't what I should be doing. I shouldn't be letting my emotions that are triggered by some negativity allow me to get angry in a situation where there is no need for me to get angry, right? My emotional intelligence will kick in and say, look, take a step back, breathe. It's okay to not argue with somebody. It's okay to let somebody have the right to whatever they think is right, right? So we have to be emotionally intelligent in order to walk away, right? It takes more strength to walk away than to stand there and argue with somebody or to get angry with somebody, right? There's a saying that says if two clowns are arguing, nobody knows that what's the difference, which one is the intellectual and which one is not, right? Because there's two clowns that are arguing. Can you control your impulses, right? Are you able to take responsibility for your actions, right? That's the accountability part. Are you able to take responsibility for your actions to say, yes, I did. No, I didn't, right? I used to be on the job and I used to tell younger technicians that were coming along this, I used to say, if your supervisor comes in and he asks you a question and he comes over and he's asking you about things that you're supposed to do on a job or anything like that, don't lie to him. Because he's asking you because he already knows the answer to it, right? Take responsibility for your actions. If you did, you did. If you didn't, you didn't, right? And just keep moving forward. Do you respond in a reasonable manner when others are acting unreasonable? Can you take a moment before you act or speak and make a mature, intelligent choice, right? Oftentimes I tell people, think before you speak. Think before you speak. Because if you're just talking just to be talking, and your talk is about nothing, to me, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Conversation Kingz, Dominic Emerson, I blank out. If you're talking just nonsense, I blank out. But if you're talking an intelligent conversation, you have my full attention, right? I'm locked in on the conversation. Do you know how to manage your negative moods and thought patterns? Are you open to change and new ideas, right? That's what it's about. That's what it's about. Are you open to changes? Because we're going to have to change something in order for us to be emotionally intelligent, right? Am I open for changes, right? Like they say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. If that old dog is willing to change, then that old dog will change, right? Motivation. Do you have motivation that extends beyond money and acquiring possessions? There's more to life than just money and acquiring possessions, right? They used to have a lot of older men that I used to sit around and sit under used to say, you know, the one who dies with the most toys win, right? That's all about possessions. But in reality, you don't, because those possessions go to somebody else, right? You done worked your tail off and now those possessions go to somebody else. So that's not really a win-win right there, right? But the person who actually acquires self-awareness and their self-being and, you know, are motivated within themselves and get up with themselves and can pass that on to somebody else, that's the win. If I can pass on morals, ethics, building, motivation, being a mentor, creativeness, something that's going to sustain the next person to be able to be successful in life. And it's not just about the monetary gain or the possessions that are gained, but if I can make them successful mentally, then that's a win for me. And that's what my motivation really is in order to get up and to do these things, right? Are you able to set goals and follow through to completion, right? That's what I've been talking about. Set goals and make sure you complete your goals and get through your goals, right? And you'll see the difference, right? And do you have empathy? We have to have empathy in life, right? Are you able to understand the emotions of others? Understanding yourself is the first step to understanding others, right? people are very similar in their basic emotional makeup, right? Do you take an interest in the lives of others? Are you able to help someone cope with emotional challenges they might be facing, right? Do you know how to comfort someone else? This is all a part of empathy. And this is all a part of my emotional intelligence development, right? I have to have this as a part of my arsenal and a part of my tool and basic life instructions, right? Before leaving Earth. So I have to have these things inside of me developed, constantly building, constantly burning, constantly motivating, constantly pushing me in order to help someone else when they're in an emotional state that they might not be able to handle in this life, right? And emotional intelligence and having that, I have to have social skills. I have to be able to go out and talk to people who don't look like me, who don't sound like me, who don't dress like me, you know, who are not from the same community I'm from. But I have to have these social skills in order for us to be connected and have continuity with everyone and each one of us in order to develop us individually as humans and have emotional intelligence within each one of us, right? I have to have social skills. We have to have social skills. The range of social skills needed can be a vast, but these are things you've been learning since you were just a baby, right? How to deal and how to interact with people. Can you accurately interpret facial expressions, right? Some people have poker faces, right? They're stern and you can't tell where they're at, right? Can you anticipate the likely emotional reactions from others for the given situation? Can you communicate effectively? Are you a good listener? Are you able to influence others? Can you create and sustain relationships? You have to ask yourself, how do you rate in this area, right? Where are you at in this area? Where am I at in this area in order for us to be better, in order for us to do better? Like the saying goes, if you knew better, you'll do better. And I believe that to be true. If you research and learn and gain more knowledge and more insight, you'll know better and you'll do better, right? Russell M. Nelson says this: a strong human spirit with control over appetites of the flesh is master over emotions and passions and not a slave to them. That kind of freedom is as vital to the spirit as oxygen is to the body. Freedom from self-slavery is true liberation. I just want to say, this is the Conversation Kings. I am your host, Dominic Emerson, here on LA Talk Radio. As always, like, follow, subscribe on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. And you'll get great content like this. And as always, it's never personal. It's always business. And this is the Conversation Kings with emotional intelligence. And I'm gone.
You're listening to Conversation Kings with Dominic Emerson, only on LA Talk Radio.